You said you disagree with something about the show, the degrading. Do you care to elaborate?
No, I guess just in terms of just how with certain guests, how they
address the women.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Can you give me an example?
Calling them bitch, or get the fuck out. Like, there's a certain way you could talk to people to get them to understand that what they're saying or doing is wrong. That's probably what she meant.
Well, I'm asking her, not you, so the words ought to come out of her mouth. Go ahead.
I think in terms of, let's say, I guess specifically Chase, for example. I think, just in terms, oh God, but just I guess in terms of how I don't agree with he's a whole Christian man and everything. I mean, I'm Catholic. So I just feel like there's a way to get to people. You don't have to agree with them, but you also just have to do it in a sense of compassion to get to someone. In terms of how do I explain this correctly?
Well, compassion takes multiple forms. So compassion, occasionally, well, not even occasionally, depending on who you're talking to, sometimes language is going to seem vulgar. It's going to seem brutal. You are entering into verbal jujitsu when you're trying to change a person's mind. But outside of that scope, you're trying to change the mind of thousands upon thousands of people who watch as well. So Chase, uniquely, has had millions of people see his clips. They've gone viral all over the internet. So he feels like he has a responsibility to explain himself to you in a way which you are going to, maybe it's jarring or maybe it sounds brutal, but it's a way to not only get his message to you, but to millions of other people. That seems reasonable to me. I can understand where it can feel like it's degrading, but there's some people who it's going to always seem degrading to if they're on the other end of the ire when you're trying to wake them up, right?
I understand that, but I just feel like there's a way to deliver a message to people and other ways. But I mean, like I said, I'm open. Everyone has different forms of communication and how they say things. I just personally...
Okay, well, I'd like to get into specifics here because first off, Chase has not been on the show in something like 8 or 9 months. He hasn't been on...
I'm talking about the previous clips. I rewatched a bunch of the clips, so that...
Right, well, it's hard because one, Chase isn't here. He also hasn't been on the show in 9 months, so I can't really... If there's something I could try to speak on his behalf, if you can point me to something specifically that Chase has said that you disagree with.
Is that Sovereign Bro? No. Oh, Sovereign Bro? Is that what you're
Okay,
No.
stop. Why don't you answer the question? Go ahead.
I can't really pinpoint a certain one. I mean, I could, if you'd like, go...
What?
It's just, I'm just talking about the deliverance of certain things. Like,
okay,
just,
what specifically has Chase delivered that you disagree with?
Not what he says, because I agree with the things that he says. I just don't agree with how
what did he
says
say,
it.
and what did he say, and how did he say it?
I think, like I said, just the tone of it, just in general.
What was his tone? You don't even remember the topic at hand?
Like I said,
like condescending, or
maybe like I said, it just depends, like on how you speak to the person and in terms of
you're a Catholic, right?
Yes.
Have you ever seen your priest spit on the devil?
No.
No? You've never seen that?
No.
No, you've never seen them do a harsh rebuke?
No.
You've never seen your priest do a harsh rebuke ever?
No.
You've never seen your priest do a harsh rebuke towards the demonic ever?
No.
Not once?
No.
Well, what kind of priests don't even rebuke the devil?
I'm not sure how to...
Well, you, as a Catholic in your tradition, you believe in the demonic. You believe in what's called demonic obsession. Demonic obsession is the first pathway in Catholicism towards demonic possession. It's the most common obsession. Priests often in the Catholic Church will give harsh rebukes towards the demonic, especially for those who are suffering from obsession.
So
Yes?
in my church, in my Catholic church, my priest, he usually always is very he likes to keep everything light. He will always just make sure that everyone's awake, because he has this joke where like everyone falls asleep in church, where people go to Catholic church and they fall asleep or they're falling. So he basically always tries to keep it
Upbeat.
yes.
All
like
right. Well, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but if you're a Catholic, you have exorcists in your church. They exorcise demons out of people. That's what they do. You have a whole branch in Catholicism called exorcists. Do you think that they go and they're just like nice to demonically possessed people? Do you think that when they're rebuking demons, they're like, now listen, sweetie, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I really need that demon to come out. Okay, now wait, Fred, we don't want to upset her. We're just trying to get the demon out. We're just going to sprinkle a little holy water on her head. Do you think that that's how they do that?
Like I said, that's just my perspective on how to say things to people. And in terms of me, when I'm talking to someone about something, and even if I don't agree with them, or I just don't, I just look at it differently. I'm just saying the tone of it. That's it.
Okay, Chase is not here. I need a specific example.
Like I said, I don't have a specific example.
How did he say it then? You don't even need to use what he said verbatim.
I guess just
how did he say it?
I guess just when I have a conversation with people, I don't raise my voice at anyone. I try to always stay leveled, just to really be able to have both of our points stemmed across. You know, like I.
Okay, well, let me just defend Chase. Chase is actually one of the most respectful guests we've had. He typically doesn't raise his voice. Sometimes he can be animated or charismatic, but he's typically very polite and respectful. Now, it's possible, look, he's been on multiple episodes. These episodes are hours long. I haven't committed to memory every single thing that Chase has said, and I haven't committed to memory every single way he's said it or his tone. But I mean, at least in my recollection, generally speaking, Chase tends to have been always very respectful to the guests.
Yeah, I would say that. What's her name? Kiko. I would say she's disrespectful. I would say she's raised her voice.
That is a
him.
good point.
For sure.
I would say that.
Now, what is interesting about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do you want to
No,
continue?
I was just gonna say that's something that I also notice a lot with the liberal side is if you say something that is factually proven, they get upset, they get angry, and then they get violent. And I noticed that with her when he would say something that she doesn't like. She's like, man, fuck you, I can't believe you just said no, you're an asshole. Like, that's insane. Like, we can have
demonic.
a conversation.
It's a
like
trigger.
that.
It's
Based
a ego
and
trigger.
true, totally true.
And
what
I've
you're saying
never,
right now.
I've never seen that on a conservative side, to be honest. And I see that a lot on that side, and it's just not.
I
not
can
good taste.
argue with that actually, because I see a lot of that on conservative side. A lot of people physically shut down when you bring up specific issues, and they keep going around in circles, not even answering the
Well,
questions.
no
or-
side is immune to this sort
No,
of thing.
yeah,
but-
exactly,
but-
exactly. So
But-
Everybody has
but-
that energy.
Exactly.
It's like an emotional process.
But
Yeah,
I think,
because it's all-
I
it's all
think if
emotions.
I think if, like, let me ask you a question. Who's pushing political correctness more? Conservatives or liberals?
The left. Liberals.
No, hold on. This is a question directed at her. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so specifically political correctness, liberals.
So
I am not 100% liberal. I
Okay.
do want to say that I do not consider myself liberal. I'm more, not quite in between, but I understand both sides.
Let me ask you another question. When it comes to friendship, who do you think is more willing to be friends with somebody who has a different political opinion than them? Is a conservative more likely to be willing to be friends with somebody who's liberal, or is a liberal more willing to be friends with somebody who's conservative?
In my personal experience, liberals.
Really?
In my personal
Well,
experience.
here's my view of this, and I tend to think I'm a bit more moderate. When conservatives typically will look at liberals and see it's more so a difference of opinion and worldview, liberals will paint conservatives as evil, typically. And so there's a pretty big difference. And they've actually, I believe, Nick, can you maybe find there was a study on this. I do think that they found that conservatives were more willing to be friends with liberals.
Okay.
than the reverse.
We're just more open-minded.
Which again, everyone has their own personal experience. I cannot speak for everybody,
Sure.
obviously. In my experience, I have a lot of conservative friends. I have a lot of liberal friends, and I've seen them interact with each other, and I've seen them having friendly discussions and friendly debates where everyone just agrees to disagree, but they have things in common, and all of the issues between both sides are the same issues. They're just handled from different perspectives and different viewpoints.
Anyways, so
Well,
going back
probably other
to this, so when it comes to the tone policing stuff, something that's interesting is that if a woman says something disrespectful and it perhaps flusters a man, and the man responds, like Andrew says, matches her energy, people will typically disregard the precipitating factor in the man's belligerence. They'll kind of cast aside when a woman is aggressive, and then they'll singularly look at the man's response without any regard to how the woman might
I agree
have
with that.
Yeah.
what's the word?
She might have instigated it
Instigated.
or added toxicity to the conversation. Right.
And actually, I think
That is
speaking.
true. That's
So
very
speaking
true.
to your thing, I don't know if you're referencing this clip where I kicked off this OnlyFans girl who had been absolutely obnoxious the entire night. She came on to troll, and as she was leaving, I was kicking her off. She said, "Good luck with your dead ass podcast," in which I called her a bitch, and then I made some comments about.
That's fair though.
I
That was a
agreed
fair
with you.
exchange.
I
I wasn't
agreed with
speaking on
you
anything in particular, I
in
just
that
said
Oh, okay.
scenario.
what I've seen.
Like Andrew
But-
and I call him an asshole. He kind of does his. It's okay. It's banter. It's you're right.
Yeah.
You were giving me back my own medicine. I give you back your medicine. It's fair.
There's
You know, it's
debate,
fine.
and then there's just being straight up rude for no reason.
But one of the
But
criticisms
you were doing the right
I
thing.
received in that situation, where she had been trolling the entire night, she'd been disrespectful the entire night. The
And you
segment
kept
got
your
hold
mouth
on,
shut.
stop. The segment got clipped, and it shows me. She says a couple things to me. I say some things to her. She kind of instigated, in my view, like with what Andrew says. I'll match people's energy. I'll typically try to be. Look, sometimes you get frustrated, lose your cool, whatever. Typically, though, I'm not going to be insulting towards somebody unless they've been insulting towards me first. I'm not perfect. It doesn't, but most of the time I try to keep a calm head. In this case, though, a lot of people, despite the clip including the parts in which she was at fault, nobody seems to acknowledge that somebody can kind of. It's not quite.
It's almost like there's a
instigation, but it's-
prejudice
You
against
stayed
a masculine
level-headed.
presentation of aggression.
When
There
you-
is like a
Didn't need to be.